everybody. Welcome to week 6, right? Week 6
Week 6.
of the Wellness Check-In. And today it is just Cara and I. So you are in for a treat because you get the best of all worlds. Well, that's not really true, but at least you get Cara.
No, I agree. I agree. Two epic legends, Saki.
There you go.
Yeah.
As a reminder to anybody who might be, oh, and here comes Rhonda. So let Rhonda in. Hi, Rhonda. I'm going to
Hi, Rhonda.
turn the video off. There we go. So for anybody who may be watching or joining us for the first time and hasn't met us, my name is Saki Litov. I'm a board certified patient advocate living in the greater Seattle area of the US. And my partner in crime is.
Cara Lynn. And I am from Sydney, Australia. Well, the Blue Mountains. And I am a case manager in community services.
And Cara and I met via LinkedIn, and I think it's an interesting story. I actually recorded a video about you today, Cara.
Really? I haven't seen that one
In
yet.
talking about this idea that every connection is valuable, and both of us kind of joined this group that a spinoff of LinkedIn. I wouldn't have foreseen that we would be doing what we're doing now then, but had I not been open and willing to join and jump in, this wouldn't have happened. And so I'm super appreciative, of the opportunities that you've opened up for me. And I think that we're kind of creating for each other and, you know,
Yeah, it's definitely been an adventure and an exciting one, Saki. I've enjoyed every moment of it, every challenge and every
yeah.
win, and yeah, definitely, something that we've both learned a lot from and can take a lot from as well, and obviously for others too.
Well, and there have been, our fair share of challenges, which has been great,
Yes.
which has
Yep.
been great. So,
Yep.
um, it's nice. We're starting off each week now that we've kind of built some momentum up with this idea of these are the things that we have put out as the challenges each week. So, do you want to go through them?
Around the survey.
Yeah.
So basically, yeah, so these have been the challenges that we've set out each week. And the first week was about hydrating each morning. So, after sleeping X amount of hours per night, your body is dehydrated. So it's important to, refresh as soon as you get out of bed. Um, Logging and journaling. I'd have to say that I have been consistent, not daily. It's not something that I feel that I need to do daily, but when I do it, it's great. What about you? How have you been going with these things?
So with the hydrating, it's interesting. I am. It's hydrating is one of these things I don't have to worry about. I drink so much water, so this is 20 ounces. It's 600 milliliters, right? So a little
Yeah.
more than half a liter. Um, and when I wake up, the first thing I do is I drink an entire bottle of that.
Oh, wow.
And just because it's just part of my morning routine. It's
Yeah.
literally my eyes are barely open. I'm getting ready for my workout, and so my goal actually has been, and I keep forgetting to track, is to drink 10 of these a day.
10.
10.
Nice.
And so I think I'm consistently at about 6.
Yep.
But and then I'm logging just actually as part of a program I restarted. My weight slipped up again, and I'm constantly battling with that. And so I just started a new not even a new, it's an app that I have used in the past successfully that really helps change how I look at food. And it makes me log. And so that's been actually great because now I'm consistently every day, I'm not journaling per se, but I'm having to track my food, every meal, snacks, and that's been great. I really have a love hate relationship with it, but I really enjoy doing it.
Actually, it's something that journaling for me was more about the thought process and how I've been feeling and that way it's something that I can use as a reflection tool. If I'm struggling with something, I can look back on those things and find out, all right, well, how did I deal with something like this in the past? So when it comes to logging, it's something that I actually started doing effectively over the last 4 or 5 days now, and I've found it to be really interesting because you notice those things. Okay, definitely drinking too much coffee, and I say that, and I have my coffee,
Right.
but and I feel that it makes you more accountable. Moving daily, definitely. I've been doing a 1 hour walk every morning,
That's
except
awesome.
for today. I told you about my epic fail of a morning. Probably the best webinar for us to be doing today. Um, uh, Breaking the fast. It's not something that I've tried, but I really enjoyed the webinar that that particular
That we did
webinar
with
on
Hala.
on
Yeah.
nutrition. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I found that really interesting. I'm not a person who can um, eat first thing in the morning, and so it's definitely something that I need to work up to. Um, and making changes to sleep habits, and we sort of laid out the 5 6 days of introducing something new each day, or whether it be an action or a thought process, and I found that to be really beneficial. But for me, it's a work in progress for sure.
Oh, and I think everything is right in an ideal world.
Yeah.
And so it's funny. I feel pretty good on all of these things, probably except sleep. Sleep is one of those things where it's normal to struggle with all the different things. Over the years, I was sick many years ago, and so I got into a habit of going to bed actually really early, and and so I'm still in that habit because I like to get up early. So we're talking about morning rituals. Morning is absolutely my time, right? So
Yep.
Laura and I joke, and I think that you and Laura are more similar. Laura's a night owl, right? She has her evening coffee, and when I'm going to bed, she is just kind of ramping up. And it actually, I wanted, before we move on, you were talking about journaling.
Hmm.
We joke in our household that I'm great at logging. I'm great at being rigid and setting rituals and routines. I'm not really good at the big P word, we call it, processing. And so when when it's talking about writing down feelings or saying, how did the day go? I'm like, yeah, I don't know. It's just not something that I'm great with. So thankfully, I've got
Well,
somebody to nudge me along.
I think everybody's different, and for me, it's because I have those memory issues. It's really good for me to write it down. Whereas some people might just do that internal reflection.
Right,
Um, and a lot of people do it that way. It's just for me, journaling it helps.
right.
Because then So we'll move on to the next one if it's going to let me. Where did we go? So recap of weeks 1 to 5. So week 1 was mindset. Then we had foundations, which was the sleep, diet, exercise, and prayer meditation. Exercise and movement, food for thought, and sleep. And this week our topic is, drum roll please,
Morning
morning
rituals,
ritual.
yay!
Yeah.
Which honestly is my favorite because again, I'm a morning person.
And
Um,
that's, I think that's, you've, looking at it, you've done, a great job on this one. So I'm looking forward to this one, Safi.
so is what is morning for you? Out of curiosity.
When do I get up?
Not so some people think of themselves as morning people. Some people think of themselves as evening or nighttime people. And usually it's rare when somebody's both, right? Because then you're kind of what we call burning the candle at both ends. It's unsustainable. So, do you think of yourself as one or the other?
Actually, after hearing you say that, I'd have to say that I'm probably burning the candle at both ends. Um, Probably not so well of an evening, but morning for me would be, to sort of get up. I have my water. Um,
What
at the
time? What time do
moment,
you get up?
around 6 o'clock.
Around six. Okay.
Usually, let's forget about today and never speak of
Right.
it
Yeah.
again. um, but yeah, usually around 6 a.m. I will jump out of bed and do some stretches and have some water, and um, but then I have my coffee. And for me, one of the habits that I want to change, and I know that we'll go through these, but I grab my phone. Um, there was the time where I didn't. I'd grab my journal and just go through and sort of talk about, feeling energized today, thinking about the things that I need to do, and how I was feeling about that. So, but then after the school run, I would always take my 1 hour walk as well and try and top it with some yoga, things that I'm working towards doing again. But that is my morning.
Well, and it's interesting because I think that you tapped on it really well in the saying that a lot of the everybody's morning rituals vary based on what they're doing as part of their routine. And so,
Yeah.
I right now I feel like because we're all home and I'm not working outside the house. I get to sleep in, and I sleep in every day. But sleeping in for me is 6 o'clock
Yeah.
because I normally when I'm working and when I have been in routines, I get up at 5 o'clock every day. And interestingly, that's the other thing is that I have for whatever reason I open my eyes and I am up. I don't have a snooze button. I don't have anything like that. I'm determined that I'm ready to get up, and I get out of bed, and I immediately start that morning routine of water, breakfast, exercise, prayer, and interestingly, in this time of being out of my normal routine, the thing that I've been unable to get to is my meditation,
Okay.
which is interesting because it was just when pray. So prayer for me is happening virtually now, right? I think I mentioned this to you that we have a prayer group that meets every morning, and normally I would go to the synagogue or the church, and now we're meeting virtually. So my meditation place was at the synagogue by the water. So I would leave prayer and then I would go meditate. But I don't have that anymore. It's not like anything else changed, but I could, but I'm not. So that's one of those things that I'm going to try to get back into. So
And I think that it's an interesting point, and those who are, um, meditation can be something, and mindfulness can be something that, can people can have struggles with, all of those invading thoughts and allowing themselves to overthink. But at the moment, I do walking meditation. So for me, meditation was always sitting down and just being in the moment, and sometimes guided, sometimes not. But at the moment, I'm doing a walking meditation because I'm killing two birds with one stone.
yeah, that's great. That's great. So
Yeah.
should we go to the next slide? So this one is great because I think it's a common thing, and everybody probably has their own version of it. But Winston Churchill, Steve Jobs, and Richard Branson, all really different people. What is it that they have in common? Morning rituals. And they're, actually, I'm sorry, there's a question. Rana had asked a question about walking meditation. And so, yes, we will give Cara some more time on that. So, in prepping for this, I as a morning person, I've spent a lot of time over the years really thinking and refining about what I do. And one of the things that I've really appreciated is this idea and concept that hands down, most successful people, and you can define successful however you want, have a strict morning ritual that includes getting up early. Because when I'm kind of rocking it, if I'm in my zone at work and I'm getting a lot of things done, I feel that by the time I show up at work, which is usually between 8 and 8:30, I have already done my exercise for the day, eaten a decent breakfast, meditated, and often prayed as well. And by 8:30. And so, like, the rest of the day is open to do whatever I want. So I think there's a lot of refining there that can happen and needs to be done, but it's something it's worked really, really well for me.
Yeah, and this is something that I have experienced before as well, and I found that it's just an amazing way to set yourself up for a successful day. And like you said, whatever that success might look like.
Yeah,
Um, it's and I was very much the same for a long time. I would have everything done, ticked all those boxes, and it really set me up for an amazing day. But I would also take time out during the day to
absolutely.
do, like, 1 minute of stretches or some deep breathing, just to reset and refresh and keep that vibe going as well.
Right.
Um,
Do you want to go to
but
the
yeah,
next
it's
slide? And actually, it's a nice kind of intro to. This idea of morning rituals are healthy habits.
yes.
So,
Yeah.
do you want to expand a little bit on this idea of walking meditation?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, meditation for me is very much about that mindfulness practice, about being in the moment and being self-aware, um, aware of your senses. So, what you can see, what you can smell, um, you know, how you're feeling internally and externally, and just reflecting on the experience as a whole. There are some guided walking meditations, um, and I'd be happy to pop them into the Facebook group, some links to those. They go for about 16 minutes, 17 minutes.
Oh, are these like
Um,
links to something online that and people could just connect to?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's
So
great.
YouTube, audio
Got it. That's
files.
awesome.
But yeah, so for me, it's just, I guess, a little box full of gratitude and senses, and that is that touch, smell, sight, all of those things, and really taking in the moment. But it's also, initially it's more of a body scan as well. And so when starting a walking meditation, it's very much, and you might feel a bit silly, I did when I first started doing it, but lifting your foot off the ground and then putting your foot back down and actually paying attention to the muscles that are moving, the what you're feeling when your foot comes up, the air as it passes your foot as it comes up. And it's just very much being aware of every single little thing that's going on. But I'll pop some links up and maybe a little explanation in the group on walking meditation and how I use it for my walks as well.
It's interesting because in my mind, and it's always fascinating to me how and I'm appreciative of the wide range of options and differences. My walks when so I'm my morning exercise tends to be either like about 45 minutes or an hour on an elliptical, or when it's nice outside, I take my dogs out and go out for an hour. But with my dogs, there's no way that I could be mindful about, my feet off the ground. It's kind of more like, which direction am I going at any given time?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so, but I do appreciate this idea of killing two birds with one stone. And what I do to get through an hour of workout in the morning is that's when I watch TV.
Okay. Yep.
So I generally, sometimes I'll watch at night, but I watch very little TV, but I'm usually watching, one or two shows at the same time. And so that winds up being my time limit. I want to try to get an hour in. So one of the programs that I watch, it's on a little iPad, so today we can stream. I've been doing this for years. It was, I had a DVD player, right, that you put up on the elliptical many years ago. But now it's, just a streaming iPad, and it makes it so much easier. And I don't have to think about it so much. And I find that I'm able to push myself further because I'm not thinking about it. So, yeah. So,
Yeah.
but the key for doing so much of this is how do you get from here to there? It's easy to say, oh, you should do this and you should do that. So let's go to the next slide and talk a little bit about how you get there. So, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. So, tips for building healthy habits. So, I guess for me, I'm just having a quick look through of what you've written. This was your baby today.
Right.
So, when it comes to building healthy habits, it's all about building those, something that's going to be sustainable. And I think that, to build something that's sustainable that you want to be successful at, it's all around that planning. So an example, I want to go for a walk every morning. I need to plan for that. So I need to find that time. I need to have those resources available, and sometimes it helps to have them ready the night before. That might be my joggers. What do you guys call them? Joggers, right?
Sneakers.
Sneakers.
Yeah.
So having my joggers, having my headphones. Because I like to listen to that. Sometimes music, sometimes guided walking meditation, audio files. The weather. So making sure I have my jacket and I have this and I have that, and allowing for things to come up. When it comes to changing your surroundings, I've started getting bored on my walk. As it might seem unlikely because it's stunning up here, and I will. One of the things that I'll do over the next couple of weeks is try to create a video of my walk to share that with you guys, because it's amazing. I look left, I see valleys and mountains, and I look right and I see valleys and mountains. So it's just gorgeous.
Wow.
Um,
It's on a ridge that you walk?
but
Are you
I'm on
walking?
it. No. So my street is on the edge of the valley.
Got it. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So yeah, it is really lovely, and but I'm bored. I'm
Yeah,
getting
right,
bored of
right.
doing the same track every single day. So one of the things that I did yesterday is consider how I might change my surroundings. So while I might be walking within the same area, I had a look at different routes. And these routes go down different streets and back up and around, or down to lookouts. So it's just really about for me, changing that. So I still want to do it, and I'm exploring and making it a bit more fun for myself. Um, when it comes to the support, for me, and obviously I'm talking about walking when it comes to building, the tips for building the healthy habit. But I get that support from, say, from my partner, or from friends who, I'll say, I did my walk today, and they're like, great, that's awesome, keep going. And it's really great to have that motivation. I also spoke to my next door neighbor and asked her if she would want to do some walking with me, and she's
Nice.
all in for it.
Oh, that's
So that
great.
it was, yeah, and it was another way for me to sort of have that accountability, but change things up a little bit and have that ongoing support. We can support each other. Um, Tracking my progress. I'm really excited about this one, actually, Saki. With my Fitbit, I've been logging it in the Fitbit app, but I need to put my Fitbit on so that it's actually following my track and I
Right.
can see where I've been. I love that feature. But even then, I can do that on the map myself. Rewarding myself, well, you know, I did it. And it can be something as simple as saying, I actually did it. I did it today. And rewarding yourself will look different for everybody. You might treat yourself to something, you might give yourself a pat on the back, or and for me, being patient, there are days where I'm not going to want to do it. I'm not going to want to. I might be feeling like, excuse my language, but I might be feeling like shit that day, and I don't want to get up. I don't want to go out. It's pouring rain. So it's just allowing those little, like, I don't have to. I
Right.
can do it
Right.
tomorrow, but not making that a habit either.
Right. Well, because there's good
Yeah.
habits and there's bad habits.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
So for me, it's interesting because so you related those tips for your concept of walking. I think I'm going to use
Hmm.
food for me because that's kind of what I'm immersed in at the moment. But planning is so critical for me to be able to, like, so where I'm at now, I'm using a program that really talks about psychology and this idea of wanting to change our relationship with food. And that for me is key. So I've always eaten really healthy. I mean, that's never an issue, but I'm always heavy. And part of it is portion control. And part of it is, you know, even though I might be eating something, really healthy, it's, almonds are very high in fat. And so if I'm eating almonds all day long, that's not going to be a good thing. So the key for me is making sure that I have the good food that I want available to me when I want it. So I cut up a lot of fruit. I have little baskets of a 2 cup container of grapes, or lots of blueberries, and that way when I'm craving something, that's right there for me to grab. And I do it with my lunch as well. Like I have a salad that I eat consistently, and it makes 3 servings. It's actually, this is where I have made Costco into a science. And so most of what I eat actually is from Costco, not necessarily prepared, but they have these bagged salads, right? And so it's got everything more or less that I like in a salad. And I like my salad like I like my ice cream, filled with lots of stuff.
Hmm.
And so I had seeds, and I had sugar, or not sugar, cheese, and different kinds of cheese. And when I have it all made up, it makes 3 portions. So I've got the bowl that I'm going to eat for whatever meal that is, and then I have 2 other meals. I mean, that's an entire meal. So it makes it so much easier for me to follow that habit and be able to stick with it. So, and the idea of changing surroundings actually from a food perspective is also really good. Like if you struggle, I struggle with eating at night. So one of the things that I have actually started yesterday is I'm committing to becoming a more mindful eater, right?
Mm-hmm.
If when I eat, I'm going to eat, and that's all I'm going to do. And so that means that I'm going to be at a table or at a desk or maybe out front. No phone, no TV, no computer in front of me, no book. When I eat, I'm going to eat. And it's amazing how much easier it makes to not then overeat, right? And I could easily sit in front of the TV and movie and eat an entire bag of popcorn or a whole pint of ice cream or, you know. And then the tracking progress obviously is the similar thing with anything. And so I'm logging my food. And then rewarding yourself again is it. What's nice about this program is it divides foods into three categories. They call it like red, yellow, and green. So green foods are vegetables and fruits and things like that. And you can have pretty much as much of those as you want. Yellow foods are the high proteins, the meats and the cheeses, and those need to kind of be eaten in moderation. And red foods are the things that are going to be higher in fat that you should have in much smaller quantities, like seeds even. And what's nice is I know I can treat myself anytime. No food is off limits because it's just about moderation. No food's bad. And so I have these really awesome dark chocolate bars that are, they're not filled with any junk. They've got, seeds and kind of currants mixed into it. So there's a little chewiness to it. And, probably once or twice a week, that's my treat, reward for feeling like I was in control. And then patience, despite my best efforts. Some days when I step on the scale, which I do every morning, I weigh in every morning. I gain weight. So, but if I'm patient and I push through, I know that,
I think that's normal, to be honest. One of the things, when I was a weight loss coach for WW, which is, I think you guys have it, Weight Watchers.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah. But as a weight loss consultant, that's one of the things that we would tell people is that it's completely normal to gain before you lose. And, the weight that you do carry, it's a healthy weight. You can be overweight and you can still be healthy.
Totally.
And I think, and there are plenty of people, Saki, that are bigger than me, but far healthier than me. So I think
everybody's unique and different. Laura always, I think, struggles with this a little bit but I'm super open. So I have type 2 diabetes and high blood pressure, and and I am so I'm always challenged with having to make sure that I'm eating as well as I can, knowing that the more weight I take off, the easier it's on my body.
Absolutely.
I've always been healthy, even when I weighed a lot. In the long run, if I want to make it to see grandkids, I need to work on that.
And you are, and that's what you're doing at the moment is that whole process that you've laid out here to make sure that happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So next one.
Okay.
So
I'll let you take this one.
Okay. So the key, I think planning is the biggest key from what we were just talking about, and it doesn't matter what the habit is. The more prepared and the more thought you're able to put into it, the more likely you are to make that happen. But it's also really important to do whatever you can to raise the likelihood that these things are going to become doable for you. So, it's possible to make everyday activities more active. right? Uh, Actually, this is one that I do regularly, and Laura has finally come along with me, and we're kind of in agreement. Is I always choose the farthest parking spot from wherever we're going possible. And so, like I am, if we're at a Costco, we are on the other side of the street, and you have to walk through, a few parking lots. But I'm the walk is good and it's important, and I want to be as active as I can. Some days that is the walking I'm doing, and if I'm really busy. Um, you know, on days when I am, needing some extra exercise, I build mowing my lawn into my, exercise regime. And it's great because it's something I got to do. But I can make it more of a conscious workout. Um, and then just being active with family and friends. It's really easy. We grabbed our kids yesterday. We're kind of learning how to work with the social distance thing. And our boys came over yesterday, and we went for a walk in the woods, and that was really, really nice. And we're more likely to do it if we have somebody to do it with. So, I mean, the rest of the things are, activities that are rain or shine. You touched on this, Cara, before, and I live in an area where it's equally important. Rain can't keep you in, and if it is going to keep you in, make sure that you have something to balance it. So, like I personally, I've got exercise equipment inside, so I'm never without the ability, or frankly, as David showed us, no one's ever without the ability, right? All you need is a bench and, a table to lean against, and then you have your workout routine. But planning and, kind of having those things in mind are really important to be able to be successful.
Yeah, no, I mean, touching or going back to that, yesterday, it did start raining. And I thought, you know what, it doesn't really matter. It's just a light rain. By the time I got back, I was wearing 2 pairs of pants because it was so cold. They were both wet through.
Oh,
My
wow.
shoes were wet, my socks were wet, and my waterproof jacket completely wet. And then underneath I had my hoodie, and the bottom of that was wet because it was sticking out the bottom of my jacket. But you know what, I got home, I got changed, I got warmed up. I thought, I'll still do my walk. But, this whole planning thing, now I know, what, I'm going to, because I still really like to get out for my walk, unless it's torrential rain, I'm going to still do it. So planning for me is about looking at, okay, well, I need some water resistant clothing when it comes to exercise pants or, shoes, and how can I waterproof that or make it a bit more water resistant so I can still enjoy my walk. Because it's not something I'm going to stop, but I don't want to get back, saturated every day.
Right. Well, for health as well, that's pretty important.
Yeah, absolutely. I learned my lesson yesterday, and then so I started planning to change that.
A number of years ago, we do a lot of kayaking, and a number of years ago, I got myself geared up to be able to kayak year round. I bought some winter gear, and it's wonderful. I haven't done it as much as I would have liked, but I've definitely been able to get out on some days when there's snow on the ground, but the water is magnificent. And as long as you have the right gear and you're not cold, it's easy to do something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So the idea here was that to help show people that really anything, you can make anything into a healthy habit. Exercise doesn't have to be one thing. And in all honesty, the best exercise I do on a regular basis is walking. And I think you made a really great comment, this idea that, walking can be combined with other things, whether it's meditation or listening to music or an audiobook. So this is kind of just a list of all the possibilities of things that can be built into healthy habits.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things that I'm just looking at it. You've got affirmations. And that's something that I used to really enjoy. My affirmations, even if I was standing in front of the mirror, just saying it over and over and over to myself until I felt like a moron. But that's just saying it, because the more you say it, the more you start to feel that as well. And one of the things that I decided to do was to take my old my card holder, and I've put all of my affirmation cards in. And because it has two little dividers, so there's a to do and there's a done. And so I've put them all in front. And now each morning I can pull one out, and have that, that's the affirmation for that day, and pop it in the back, behind the done. So it's a little habit that I want to start building, because I think it will, it just boosts that confidence and that self-esteem, and definitely something that I'm going to be working on myself.
That's great. We have these things that Laura turned me on 2 years ago called angel cards. And I'd not thought of it in this way, but those are absolutely affirmations. And we have this big stack of angel cards that live on our, I call it a break front, but it's like a dresser in the kitchen. And every day, I know Laura does this on a daily basis. I do it every now and then, but she'll go through and pull out, one of these affirmations, and that's what she has to contemplate and think about all day. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's nice.
I think you spoke about that once before. You may have even showed me.
Yeah, and this is, I want you to know, the all the process related ones here. I thought of you as I was adding these in. Things like not that I don't do these things, but they don't come as easily. But gratitude and affirmations, visualization, um, you know, anything that works for you can be made into a healthy habit. So that's it.
Yeah,
That's it.
absolutely. I like some of these, and some of them definitely going to start working on. I may look like I'm looking behind, but I actually have my phone up on a stand at the moment, and the screen that I'm sharing is behind it, so it's a little. That's why I'm saying you can read this one. Oh, so we're almost at the end. I didn't realize that went really fast, didn't it? So I guess the wellness check-in is all about, for me, and obviously for everybody else, it's all about making those little changes, and that's why we continue to come back, and that's why we share that, the information, the recordings, and little pointers on that Facebook page, because it is really about making those small, taking those small sustainable small actions for long-term sustainable healthy habits. So I think, do you want to talk about?
Well, I think the idea, since we're talking about morning rituals, was to, challenge people to come up with something that you're not doing now, or something that you would like to be doing, or maybe it's something you just want to be doing better. Um, and and actually, I would really encourage one thing. Like, don't take the week and say, okay, I'm going to start logging my food on Monday, and then on Tuesday I'm going to log my food, and I'm going to start exercising every day. And then on Wednesday I'm going to be logging my food, exercising, and adding in, an afternoon. Now, let's go baby steps and
Mhm.
pick one thing that you feel confident that you would like to do, that you want to do, and that is, like you had said, sustainable. So it's got to be achievable. Actually, one of my favorite acronyms, and you've probably heard this, is SMART goals. Are you
Yeah.
familiar with that? Right. So it's got to be sustainable, measurable, actionable. R is
Real. Realistic.
Realistic, thank you, and timely. Something that you can
Yep.
say, okay, here's the deadline of by when it's going to happen. So that's the challenge for the week.
Excellent. And what I'll do is I'll pop something up into the Facebook group around our
That'd be
challenge, like
great.
we do each week, and get people to, we invite everybody to just comment what that one action is going to be that they're going to try for the next week. For me, I'm going to say it now, and that's going to be the affirmations.
Good for you.
Um, yeah, so I probably won't do one a day, but I'll do one a week. It sort of draws that out, and I think with any sort of affirmations, changing that mindset, it's all about building that over time rather than, like you said, going to do this on Monday, do this on Tuesday, do this on Wednesday, and just smashing everything in one go. So
Right.
but yeah, what do you
All right.
think yours is going to be,
I
Saki?
I'm going to commit to not a daily ritual, but I have been talking about wanting to get back into my meditating, and so
Yep.
I'm going to commit that next time we talk next week, um, I will have meditated 3 times. And I think
Three
that's,
times.
yeah, 3 times. So and I'm it's funny, meditation for me is a very rigid kind of, like, I have a routine of what I do. And so it's 20 minutes, I've said, but I just have to do it. So I will commit to having meditated 3 times by next week.
How are we going for time at the moment?
We
What
got
do
a
you?
couple minutes. I mean, we're about when we would wrap up.
Okay.
So, we're
So I'm just curious, how would you plan